Welcome back, everybody. You're watching Cape Rugby TV here on Cape Town TV, DSTV3, DSTV 263, where every week we take a look at what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. Of course, just before the break, we were taking a look at the first half and second half of the match between Gordons Bay Pioneers and Strand United. Folks, you'll of course know that it is currently the Craven Week, the Grand Coma Week, and of course, the Under-20 World Cup happening here in Cape Town. Currently, some legacy functions also happening out in Western Province. And next week, we'll find out more about that. Of course, the Under-20 international teams currently traveling around the Western Province area, where they are busy at various clubs as part of their outreach projects. Right, folks, so well, of course, you will know then that just before the break, we were taking a look at the match between Gordons Bay Pioneers and Strand United. And of course, final result then, if we take a look at the results in the Northern League, we see Delft, of course, with a 29-36 loss against Stellenbosch Coronations. Windmill United scored a win 35-31 over Excelsior. It was a win for Silurians, 19-13 over Whistling Wheels, and then Blake's went down to Wraithby. And then, of course, there you see the Gordons Bay Pioneers with a 22-18 win over Strand United. So a big game in the Helderberg region. Let's take a look now at the logs in the Northern League. Of course, you can see Silurians are still dominating at the top there. They're sitting on 36 points after 8 games. And then Strand United, straight behind them in a second place, followed by Whistling Wheels, Wraithby Universals, Gordons Bay Pioneers, then in 5th place, Stellenbosch Coronations, Blake's, Delft, Excelsior, and then Windmill United bring up the 10th spot in the Northern League. So it does look like the Northern League is starting to get quite close. If we look there at the Strand United, they've played 8 games. Whistling Wheels have played 9 games, but they are still heading towards the top 4 there. And of course, Wraithby got some big games this weekend as well. Are still in the or sort of in the firing line, if you want to think about it in that way. They've also got a game in hand on top of Whistling Wheels. Right, folks. Of course, this weekend in Super League A, it was Brackenfell up against NTK. We're going to take a look at these highlights there, and then we will be looking at your logs, your results, and your fixtures from Super League A. And of course, don't forget, a little bit later in the show, we're going to be doing the barometer, our Infinetics barometer, where of course we are going to be sharing that with you on social media platforms to get your input. There's some fascinating games happening this weekend, and the statistics are very close. But let's go now. First half between Brackenfell and Right, there we go, folks. This is, of course, the first half between Brackenfell and NTK. We will take a look at the second half after the break. Yeah, big game there, of course. NTK have got a little bit of work to do in the season to climb up in the log. We'll take a look at the log in a second, but certainly Brackenfell dominating there. But let's look at some of the results. Don't forget, we will show you the highlights, the second half highlights still. But let's take a look at the results then in Super League A. Of course, Tygerberg with a big win over Kailsriver, 37 points to 28. And then that match between False Bay and UWC was called off. So unfortunately, that result does not stand. Well, it stands, but the points go to False Bay. We'll find out more about that. And of course, the result then in the match between Brackenfell and NTK going in favor of Brackenfell. But we will take a look at that a little bit later. Let's take a look now at your logs in Super League A. Sitting at the top of the pile still, it's Helderberg. Helderberg on 30 points, and of course you'll notice there that they are on joint points with UCT, but the try difference is what makes the difference there. So Helderberg sitting currently at number 1 on the log. Of course, there were no games for the top 3 then this past week, and Helderberg in 1, UCT sitting at number 2, Unimol is at 3rd place, and then of course followed by Durbell and Brackenfell. And if you look at the rest of the logs there, you'll see Villages is currently in 6th place, followed by Hamilton's, False Bay, Tygerberg, Marty, St. George's, UWC, Kailsriver, and NTK, and then of course Hamlets. Of course, a little bit of work to do there from the bottom teams. Hamlets really having a bit of a rough ride. Still got to get a win on the board. And of course, NTK's got 1 win on the board and some work to do, as well as Kailsriver and UWC. So there's going to be a little bit of a scrum towards at the bottom of the log there. Right, folks, of course, big thanks to Carla Norkia from Brackenfell who managed to send the game into us. Of course, that was the match between Brackenfell and NTK. And when we come back from the break, we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the second half. And don't forget some of your highlights from last week also coming up in a second. Don't go away, back now.